How many times have you heard that a movie is the blockbuster of the summer, or the greatest movie this year?
Like, all the damn time.
Every movie seems to have done that, and they've always done that. But it seems to be getting worse and worse as social media takes more and more presence in our life.
Yeah.
The actual definition that we found for hype is, as a verb, to promote or publicize an idea or product intensively, often exaggerating its importance or benefits.
There's a few ways that it can be good or bad, so that's what we want to talk about today.
I'm Ollamh.
I'm Outlander.
And welcome to the Nerdening.
So don't tell me how to act or how it should be. All we wanted is to be free. We don't want to be like you. You see, we just act a little crazy, and we're following our heartbeats. We don't want to be like you.
So, the 4 types of hype that we're going to be talking about today are good, bad, middle of the road, and guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you want to start off with?
Let's start with bad.
Okay. Bad hype.
Bad hype. Oh, man.
This is probably the most focused on type of hype, is the bad hype.
Yeah, because you always hear about, we were promised all of these things, and it was supposed to be so great, and then we sat down, we just went, Like Pirates of the Caribbean, the 4th one. I don't remember the name, it was so bad. I fell asleep twice during that movie.
Yeah.
I fell asleep twice. I was on a date. It was bad. I married that woman.
Well, so it didn't turn out all bad.
Well, yeah, that part turned out great.
So, I suppose we should really kind of lay out the parameters for bad hype. And I would say bad hype would be not so much the excessive hype or the amount of hype, but the end result. You're promised the greatest movie ever, and you get a big pile of steaming dog crap.
Something mediocre, like,
Superman
4 bad.
No. I would have to, I think you were right the first time. Something mediocre. Because, with a movie, is there anything that can be worse than a mediocre movie that really doesn't make you feel anything? Really doesn't make you, really doesn't leave a lasting impression. Even bad movies, if you say that a movie is the worst movie you've ever seen, people will probably still watch it just to see how bad is bad.
I think one example that we talked about last season was like the inclusion of characters in prequels, in our prequels episode.
Yeah.
So they really hyped the inclusion of Legolas in The Hobbit, but we know he goes on to do other things.
Yeah. And there was no need. There was totally no need for that. There was no need for him to be even in the movie. Period.
Yeah, it was totally just it was kind of a cash grab, or kind of an audience grab, I guess is the way to put it. An audience equals cash, but drawing people's attention and we got Legolas again.
I think you're right there. A lot of the bad hype in particular does tend to be cash grabs. Mm-hmm. A good example that I've heard so much about, and I'm sure everybody's heard so much about, is the new Ghostbusters movie. They hyped the heck out of it. They hyped it as this big, great, wonderful thing, and most people have the attitude of, it was okay. They laughed a few times. There are some people that thought it was great. Some people thought that it was horrible, but the most of the responses are, it was mediocre at best.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's a big Ghostbusters cosplayer, super fan kind of thing, and he still liked the movie at the end of it, but he had to work very hard to separate that from the hype that he had gotten.
Yeah. Speaking as a gamer, the big bad hype that I've seen recently is No Man's Sky. This big procedurally generated universe with 8 quintillion planets to explore and all these different variations of ships that are supposed to do different things, and most of the stuff that they promised that they really hyped aren't in the game. All these different ships look different, but they all have the same systems. The biggest difference is the appearance and the amount of inventory they can hold.
Oh, my video game complaint there is Battlefront, the new Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront game. I was in love with the original ones. You know, just the gameplay was cool. It was very much kind of like Call of Duty and stuff like that. It was different than Call of Duty on the PlayStation 2 Battlefront games. You had all these worlds you could go to. You had tons of classes you could play. You had space battles. You had capture the flag. There were several different modes. And then this new Star Wars Battlefront is basically a Star Wars skin for Call of Duty or whatever. And you don't have all those classes. And they don't even have space battles yet. Still, as we're recording, they don't have space battles. And it's all this, it's all like, oh, DLC.
Now, along with bad hype, there's also the I suppose a subsection of bad hype would be the negative hype. Example, let's go back to Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were, there were a lot of people that would leave comments and stuff saying that an all-female cast was horrible, it was a bad idea, why are you changing this, and stuff like that. Now, interestingly,
but what if they had put 4 new dudes in there?
Well, a lot of the people that did complain about it would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is some bad hype like that. Like, there's some, I think it's the website MovieWeb that is total fanboy of DC. Everything DC makes is great. Everything Marvel makes sucks. And they do comparisons time after time after time, and it's always, here's, Marvel's going down the tube. So, I mean, there is negative hype, too, which is kind of a creature of its own.
I guess we're kind of crossing over into the guilt hype. So,
yeah,
with Ghostbusters, it was, if you don't see this movie, you're a misogynist.
Yeah, that was... Moving on to guilt hype. Guilt hype is when there is negative hype, and the company tries to say, you're going to feel better about yourself if you see this. If you watch Ghostbusters, you are proving to yourself that you are not a misogynist.
That you're a progressive free thinker.
Yeah, that you're a good guy. You're not one of these bad guys. And they actually went to the point of trying to force the negative hype onto people. There was a review, I'll put the link in the description below, I can't remember the guy's name right now, but he did a review basically before the movie came out and said he had no interest in seeing it. And he laid out all the reasons why. The only time he mentioned the all-female cast was with them using just Ghostbusters. So now you have, some people are calling it the female Ghostbusters, which by that
Ghostbusters 2016.
Well, by using the female Ghostbusters, technically you'd have to go back to the 1984 version and say that this is the male Ghostbusters. And that was it. That was all he said. And Sony went on to various different websites, went on to social media, and just blasted him, saying that he's a misogynist, he hates women, he hates the female cast. And and that had nothing to do with why he didn't want to see the movie. So they're forcing that. They were actually trying to make it worse than it was. Mm. And they were doing everything they could to make if you don't go and see this, you're a misogynist. Which means if you do go and see it, you're not, and you should feel better about yourself. Don't be like this asshole. Be a good guy.
Well, and in that one right there, a big part of that was the studio response. The way the studio responded there was, I think, unethical.
It was, but it added to the idea that that the people that hate this movie before it comes out are misogynists, therefore guilting people into, if you don't see it, you are a misogynist. Period. And that's a perfect example of guilt, because they're trying to guilt this guy into going and seeing it by saying, "Hey, this, you're a misogynist," even though that had nothing to do with his reasons.
Well, and that also came off of that basically the beast that came from the comments section is what that was, and a very similar thing with kind of guilt hype was what they did with the new Star Wars. A black stormtrooper. Really? Are you surprised? In all the broad depth of this galaxy that has slug creatures and aliens and everything else, you're surprised that there's a black person? I mean,
well, to be fair, I think in Star Wars, we had seen a total of 4 black people?
Yeah.
There was Lando. There was Lando Calrissian. There was the captain in Phantom Menace. There was his replacement for the next 2, and there was Mace Windu.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. So I mean, it's not unheard of, but at the same time, they were never part of the enemy. They were always the good guys.
Yeah. Well, that only added to the more fascist look of the Empire.
Well,
there were no black people in the Empire.
You don't know that. You don't.
We just never see them.
The stormtroopers are never supposed to take off their helmets. That's the biggest part of the fascism aspect is, we are identifiable. There is no individualism. You are part of the machine that is the Empire.
They call it a uniform for a reason.
I mean, and some of the other the guilt hype. Well, actually, this is kind of going back to the bad hype, but I wanted to bring up another point with Ghostbusters because the vast negative opinion of the trailer, and it wasn't just the misogynists. There were people that were pointing out problems with the trailer. And it was the most downvoted movie trailer on YouTube.
Really?
Yes.
Well, and I can see why, because watching the trailer, I wasn't hyped.
The trailer looked like crap.
Well, I mean, it was very well polished, and there's cool effects.
Well, no,
in
it
there
wasn't. The CG on the ghosts in the trailer looked like shit. They looked like it was. They looked like the Disney's Haunted House.
Well,
with Eddie Murphy. It was horrible effects.
I didn't think the effects were bad. That's just me, though. I didn't think the effects were bad, but I thought the jokes were bad.
Yeah.
I thought they were slapsticky jokes and poor attempts at good humor that just didn't work.
And that's
in the trailer.
And the interesting thing is the director, Paul Feig, came out afterwards and said, "Well, the jokes are the jokes are so well developed that they can't be cut down to trailer. They don't work in trailers, but they work in the movie.
Then don't use them in the trailer."
Well, my thing is, it's like, no, they're not that involved. The joke of, oh, hey, Patty's slapping the crap out of her friend who's possessed by a ghost, and the power of Patty compels you. Okay, she's putting herself in Jesus' place, trying to force out a ghost. That's the joke. That's the entire joke. And it's all in the trailer. It's not funny.
It wasn't a great joke. It wasn't a great joke. I mean, I chuckled a little, but I mean, it didn't make me go, "Oh God, I need to see this movie." It looked more like one of those scary movie sort of trailers or epic movie trailers.
See,
like,
I saw
those jokes.
When I saw that joke, my thought was, really? You okay, having a religious, one of them being a very religious person, okay, but really you're gonna
Van Helsing this?
Well, no, you're gonna have the one black character in the movie is also gonna be the very religious, hands-on Southern Baptist style, I will beat the devil out of you type character. It's like
that's a stereotype.
Yeah, it's like that was my biggest problem with that, other than the fact that the joke's not funny. And we're back. So we've talked about the bad. We've talked about the guilt.
Yeah.
Now another one that stands out that really isn't one extreme or the other is the middle of the road. The very strange placement for hype. And I think it's best summed up by crowdfunding.
Yeah, crowdfunding hype, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes the crowdfunding is to create funds, sometimes it's to create interest from the studios.
Well, crowdfunding mostly is to get funds to have something made. You are hyping this, you are hyping a movie or you are hyping a game trying to get people to donate. Mm-hmm. Just recently, the cinema snob Brad Jones just got funding for his parody religious movie called Jesus Bro.
Jesus Bro.
He reviews a lot of the religious type movies, and he decided, okay, well, I want to make he wrote up a script and everything for a parody. Now he got he did a 12-hour live stream on YouTube. If we reach this, I'll try. I think he had like a 20-year-old can of Michael Jackson soda. He has like a really, really, really hot sauce and stuff like that. That, okay, well, if we get to this point, we'll do this. If we get to this point, we'll do that. If we get to the fun, if it's completely funded, I'll do this. So he is creating hype, and he is really focusing on hype in order to get the money. Now, now nobody knows, he's not saying, hey, this is going to be the best movie ever. He's saying, hey, he's done movies, he has been in movies, he has made movies, he has written movies before,
and he's going to do this parody.
Yes,
now.
And he's going to do a parody, he wants to do a parody of movies the type of movies that he's reviewed. So, it's one of those things where it's like, yes, it is very much, hype, it is very much creating hype and focusing on hype, but it's hype to try and get your interest enough to get you to donate money. I suppose middle of the road type hype would also politics.
Ugh. So much hype.
I mean, especially this year. It seems like it's more this year than 4 years ago, 8 years, than before. I mean,
I remember people saying that Obama was the first president being elected by the internet on his second term, but his campaign ran a great internet thing. Like, his campaign understood the internet, and Mitt Romney's campaign was still stuck in the 50s. But
did he focus on hype in order to get votes? I mean, he had a lot of campaign promises. His first run that hadn't come to fruition yet. So it was, well, I need that 4 more years in order to really fulfill the promises for the Affordable Care Act and stuff like that. So I don't think that was so much hype. Really, the king of hype this year is undeniably Donald Trump.
But a close second would be Bernie Sanders.
True, but very different types.
Very different,
hype,
yeah.
Which is why I think it goes for middle. It really is middle of the road.
That's what makes the middle of the road. They kind of begin to cancel each other out in a way.
Well, not really.
Not gonna cancel out, but
they
bring the gravity to.
They are on opposite ends of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it, Donald Trump is. He posts stuff. He wants his say. If somebody writes a bad piece about him, he goes on Twitter and talks about how, they're a failing business or they're a failing news, and
they just suck for one reason or another, and that's why I'm awesome.
Well, generally they are failing the Washington Post is owned by this guy that's horrible at business. Never mind the fact that he owns Amazon.
Yeah.
It's like...
Anywhere he can cast doubt.
Pretty sure he's doing all right.
Anywhere he can cast doubt creates buzz.
Yeah.
Whereas Bernie Sanders, his campaign, was not about casting doubt. It was about sticking to the, staying on point and sticking to the focus. And because it wasn't exciting like that, the media didn't jump all over it, so the Bernie Sanders campaign was really exploded by internet support and internet hype. And I don't know if hype really fits. I think hype is more befitting of Trump than Sanders, because Sanders meant what he said and said what he meant every time.
But that's not the point. It's not what he said, it wasn't what he said. Because he wasn't really the focus of the hype. Of the social media hype. It was his supporters that were the source of the social media hype.
Yes.
You didn't see Bernie Sanders coming on Facebook and saying, hey, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, this is why you should vote for me. You saw all of his supporters saying, hey, this guy right here, this is who I want.
It was probably the most presidential campaign I've seen in my lifetime.
Bernie Sanders said certain things, but a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters were like, this guy is going to cure all of our problems. He's going to get rid of student debt. He's going to get rid of, he's going to make it so that everybody has health insurance. Everybody can afford to go to the doctor. All of that stuff relies on Congress. But it wasn't Bernie saying, we are going to do this. It was Bernie saying, this is what I'm going to work towards. It was Bernie Sanders supporters that said, this is what is going to happen. So, the last of our 4 types of hype that we're focusing on is good hype.
Things that give us what we want. We want to see more of a product, we want to see more of a thing, but there has to be hype to make it happen. And to create the product, as opposed to hype that makes you like the product.
Well, even hype that makes you like the product, hype that makes you want to see the product. Deadpool had a lot of hype. Deadpool was born in hype.
And God, we needed it.
Yeah, it was really, once the test footage was leaked, and all of a sudden there's all this buzz about it, and, oh, this looks great, this looks awesome, and they said, okay, well, we're going to make it, and they kept that hype, they kept that buzz, they kept people's excitement, and then they produced an awesome film.
I wouldn't call it a great film by, great film standards, but it was a great action film. It was everything we wanted to see of the character that we could fit in, that we could imagine being fit into a film, It
was kind of unusual because it was one of them, it was the first film in the X-Men movie
universe that was made that they didn't really want to make. They were worried about how to do it.
That actually kept true to source material.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've done it. I know they didn't do it before, and I don't think they've done it since. The character of Deadpool in that movie was so much more on point than anything else in the X-Men universe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, eons better than their original attempt at Deadpool.
I just don't think Fox executives fire enough people often enough. That's probably what's going on there.
I was going to say, speaking of Fox firing people.
Yeah, so we had Firefly, and whoever decided to present Firefly the way it was presented to the public, I hope they lost their job, because we would have had several seasons of something really good. I trust Joss Whedon would have made it an amazing series for several seasons.
I think they scheduled it wrong. They thought this was going to be the thing that broke
that
Friends.
Person fired. I want that person fired.
This is going to be the show that breaks Friends, and no, it wasn't.
Yeah, no.
But the hype after the fact, when it did become popular, when it did get watched so much,
when people got all the chapters in order, on the DVD release.
When they got them in order, when it wasn't, hey, either watch the #1 rated show of the time or watch this new thing that you have no idea about. Once that was removed and people started watching Firefly and starting loving Firefly, that started a whole new ball of hype that got a movie made.
Yeah, it was a giant crowd of people saying, "Give us more," and in that way, the studio abdicated and gave them a movie.
Yeah. So I mean, hype can be good, hype can be bad, hype can be, hey, we want to make something, we need to get you hyped enough to give us money. And yeah, hype is so damn prevalent in our world today that it's almost annoying.
You got to be able to step back for a moment and go, okay, well, like my wife, for example, has completely given up on watching film trailers. She won't. She's like, okay, am I interested or am I not? She'll watch, so you know how, typically there's 3 trailers that drop for a film. She'll watch the first trailer. And then past that, no more. Am I interested? Am I interested or am I not?
I don't blame her. I mean, look at, okay. Potential spoiler for the next 1 minute or so. Just real quick. Suicide Squad. The trailer. Hyped Jared Leto as the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Barely in the movie. Most of his stuff got cut. He didn't know it until after the fact. They filmed a bunch of stuff, and they cut a bunch of stuff. He's not the main villain.
Yeah, well, and I got that in the trailer. I almost wondered why the other villain was there, or Joker was there.
But that's the thing, is they don't really, they tried to keep it so tight and stuff, and hyped Joker, yeah, we've got a new Joker. The first film Joker since Heath Ledger. And he's not the major bad guy. We kind of talked about it, and this was kind of the extra from last week, but, how many times trailers use a song to evoke an emotion and get you hyped and promise you a movie of some sort of this sort that isn't. And movie trailers are the worst as far as hype. I mean, that's Ghostbusters. They spoiled Ghostbusters. They spoiled who the bad guy was in Ghostbusters in the trailer.
Well, here's this, is alright, so just thinking about the way that we make our videos and that we edit them and everything else. When I watch a trailer, I think about the way I edit videos, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to cut out this piece and cut out that part and cut out that part, and all the ums and the ahs and the and the parts where I'm sleeping on my desk. And then when it's all put together, then I have my video. But if a trailer basically does that to a movie and I almost don't know if I want to see Suicide Squad because I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah.
3 trailers in, I've seen the movie. I may not know the plot, but I've seen the fancy, sparkly stuff that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Is there more? There better be more than what I saw in the trailer.
And that's one of those points where a lot of people wait until it's out of theaters and wait to, basically they'll rent it. It's like, what's the point of going and seeing it in the theater and paying? We're not even in a major market here, and a matinee is frickin' $7.50.
$7.50.
For a weekday matinee, $7.50. You're talking $10 easy, and that's if it's just in a regular theater on the weekend or at night. So yeah, I mean that's a lot of money. So
nowadays.
I mean, when you hype it too much, I guess that's a unofficial fifth one is excessive hype. You're hyping it so much that you tell everybody everything.
Yeah, and that's in that way that hurts the film industry.
Yeah.
You know.
So what do you think of hype? Do you think of hype as it can be good and bad? Do you think of hype as it's always good, or do you just wish hype would just disappear?
Just
entirely?
give us honest advertisements and be done with it.
As always, leave a comment down below. Shoot us a tweet. Post a comment on our Facebook page.
Spray paint something on the side of a building.
Well, I don't know if that would necessarily get back to us.
Probably not. Take a picture and send it to Twitter.
It's a big world. It's a big world.
So thank you so much for watching this time. As always, stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions
and the American Machine.
We'll see you next time.
Cheerio.
To
the side, to the side, please. How did you not? How?
And Marvel is certainly well out of the gate on this before DC even kind of stepped to the plate because reasons.